Back in 2002, I was a security guard at a university. That night, it was my turn for the late shift with Sam. Sam was a real chatterbox, always going on about something or other. He told me, Building 3 is haunted. The words were barely out of Sam's mouth when I heard a massive crash. Thunder rumbled, and a downpour started outside. Sam jumped so hard he almost fell off his bunk. I was shaking with laughter. "Sam, you're such a scaredy cat." Sam snapped out of it and grumbled, "What's so funny? If you knew what happened in Building 3, you'd be scared too." I chuckled. "Isn't Building 3 a men's dorm?" "It is now. 10 years ago, it was just a one-story building." When Sam said that, I could see real fear in his eyes. I leaned in closer to Sam and whispered, "Tell me about it." Sam said, "I can tell you, but are you brave enough to listen, kid? What's there to be scared of?" I was young and always had guts. Nothing scared me. Sam clapped me on the shoulder, his usual grin returning. "When were you born, kid?" I said, "Early August, the 3rd. Sam squinted. "Kid, your stars are strong. No ghost would dare mess with you." I'd never really paid attention to that kind of stuff, didn't know anything about it. Sam said, 10 years ago, Building 3 was just a temporary one-story structure. The university was putting up new buildings, and they built it for the construction workers to live in. That night, it was pouring rain. A girl was coming back from off-campus, and a few drunk workers dragged her into that building. There were hundreds of workers living there, at least. The girl was tortured to death. Goddamn animals. What happened then? Sam said, later, they settled it. What? I was stunned for a few seconds. Something that huge, settled? Sam said, the girl's parents weren't great people either. They took a sum of money from the construction foreman and signed a settlement agreement. But the day after they signed, the couple died horrifically in their home. Their deaths were incredibly bizarre. I heard the girl's father's body was folded up like a block of tofu, didn't look like something a person could do. I asked, what about those scum who assaulted her? Sam sighed. A few of them died at first. Then they brought in some kind of spiritual master, who supposedly trapped the girl's ghost under the building. That's why you should never go near Building 3 when it's raining. As Sam said this, he glanced out the window. The rain outside was coming down hard, sending a shiver down my spine and a chill up my back. I asked, so, when students said they'd seen a ghost before, was it true? I'd heard rumors about it before, but never took them seriously. Sam chuckled. Can't say about that. But anyway, just stay away from Building 3 when it's raining. Sam had barely finished speaking when I heard a knock, knock, knock at the door. I nearly jumped out of my skin. Sam asked, who is it? It's me, the Building 3 RA. Open up. It was Dave's voice from outside. Sam opened the door. Dave was holding an umbrella, but his pants were soaked through. Sam asked, what's up? So late at night? Dave, panting, said, something's happened. The students from 203 are missing. I asked, which student is missing? Dave said, all 6 students from room 203 are gone. Boom. The rain outside intensified. It was 11 p.m. Missing students were a big deal. I said, let's call the cops. Dave shook his head. I saw them in their room around 9 tonight. It's probably nothing serious. Let's look for them first. If we can't find them, then we'll call the police. Sam grabbed a flashlight. Let's go look. Even though I was scared, I had to suck it up and go search. Sam handed me the flashlight. Mike, don't be scared. Your stars are strong. If you really run into something unclean, whatever you do, don't talk to it. Building 3 was in a remote spot, in the southwest corner of the campus. Students usually took a shortcut after class, which was quicker but went past the university's man-made lake. Dave said, "What are you waiting for? Let's go." Dave wanted to take us down the shortcut. It was lined with trees, their leaves thick. It didn't seem like much during the day, but right then, it looked terrifying. The leaves blocked out the moonlight, and I couldn't even see Dave's face clearly. Sam said, "Let's not take the shortcut. Let's take the main path." After saying that, Sam lowered the flashlight beam, shining it on Dave's feet. Dave was wearing sneakers, caked in mud. Dave said impatiently, "I took the main path when I came to get you guys. I didn't see those students. Let's try the shortcut." I said, "The campus is huge. How are the three of us supposed to find them? We should just call the cops." I don't know why, but I felt uneasy. Sam's ghost story was running through my head. I only made a few $100 a month as a guard. I didn't want to mess with some female ghost and end up dead. I'd barely finished speaking when Dave stormed over to me, yelling aggressively, "Calling the cops won't help. If calling the cops was useless, then a few of us searching would be even more useless." I was about to speak when Sam kicked me and said, "Listen to Dave." As Sam said this, he gave me a look, signaling me to shut up. I said, "All right, we'll listen to Dave." Sam said with a smile, "Dave, you lead the way." Dave snorted. "Stay close." Dave walked in front, with Sam and me following. Sam kept staring at Dave's back. I had no idea what he was looking at. Dave led us around the man-made lake a few times. The rain had stopped, but there was still no sign of the students. As we were walking, Sam suddenly grabbed my arm, stopping me. I asked, "What's wrong?" Sam said, "Listen." Listen to what? It was quiet all around. The only sound was the wind rustling the leaves. Sam glanced at me, then took a step forward. I heard the crunch of a twig snapping underfoot. In this part of the woods, the ground was covered with fallen leaves and dry branches, which made noise when you stepped on them. Sam stopped, and the sound ceased. Then I looked at Dave. He was still walking, but he made no sound. My scalp tingled instantly. I wanted to scream. Sam gestured for me to stay quiet and whispered, "We've been tricked by a ghost." Tricked by a ghost? I was even more confused. If I made it out of this alive, I was packing my bags and finding a security job at a different university, pronto. Sam nodded. "The students from 203 are fine. Dave's the one who's possessed." Sam's words scared me half to death. The only place nearby with people was Building 3. Building 3 was only about 200 yards from the man-made lake, really close. Sam said, "When we get to the next corner, run for Building 3. I nodded. If I could just make it inside Building 3, I'd be safe. The corner was getting closer. My palms were sweaty, and I prayed nothing would happen. I was so young I didn't want to die. When we reached the corner, Sam suddenly yelled, "Run." I ran for my life. Behind me, I heard Dave's piercing scream, "Ah!" It sounded just like a ghost scream from a horror movie, absolutely chilling. Just hearing it made my skin crawl and my legs weak. By the time I reached the entrance of Building 3, I couldn't see Sam behind me anymore. Where had Sam gone? Had Dave gotten him? He was right behind me just a second ago. My mind went blank. Was Sam a goner? I didn't have time to think. I bolted into Building 3. I instinctively felt the higher I went, the safer I'd be. I climbed to the 5th floor. The lights there were voice-activated. The entire 5th floor hallway was empty, eerily silent. Where was everyone? I glanced at my watch. It was already 2 a.m. Were they all asleep? I knocked on every door, but got no response. No one opened up, so I started yanking on the doors, yelling, "Anyone there?" I pounded on the doors desperately, but no one answered. Where had everyone gone? I felt a wave of despair. I pulled out my phone and dialed 911. Suddenly, the hallway lights went out. I stomped my foot hard. The lights came back on, and at the same time, I saw a woman standing at the bend in the staircase. Her hair was long, covering her face. She was wearing a blue short-sleeved shirt, blue jeans, the ripped kind, and white sandals. From the style, it looked like what was popular 10 years ago. What was a woman doing in a men's dorm? Had I rushed in and gone into the wrong dorm building? Impossible. Building 3 was the only one in the southwest corner of campus. Why wasn't she moving? I instinctively backed up a few steps and asked, "Excuse me, is this building 3? The woman reacted. She slowly lifted her head, revealing a deathly pale face covered in hideous, knife-like scars. God knows what she'd been through. The scars on her face looked incredibly grotesque. The damn voice-activated lights in the hallway suddenly went out again. The darkness terrified me. I stomped hard, and the lights flickered back on. The woman had clearly moved a few steps closer to me. Mustering my courage, I asked, "Excuse me, is this building 3? The woman suddenly shrieked. The scars on her face split open, blood oozing from the gashes. 2 streams of bloody tears flowed from her eyes. She screamed at me, a sound no less horrifying than Dave's ghostly wail, making my scalp crawl. I kicked open a dorm room door and scrambled inside. The room was empty, not a soul in sight, and the lights were off. My hand holding the phone was shaking. What could I do? She was right outside the door. Thump, 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 thump. The knocking began. I locked the door and dragged a chair to barricade it. I climbed to the window and looked down. This was the 5th floor. Jumping meant certain death, but I had no other way out. The knocking grew louder. I watched helplessly as the chair toppled over and the door creaked open a crack. I could feel an icy chill seep in, an invisible pressure that made it hard to breathe. I was losing my mind. I saw a deathly pale hand reach in from behind the door. She was coming in. Half my body was already out the window when I heard a voice from downstairs shout, "What are you doing? Get back in." I saw police cars below, only then did I register the sound of their sirens. Then I heard footsteps, someone coming upstairs. I didn't dare turn around, nor did I dare pull myself back into the room. I was terrified of seeing the ghost. I could only keep my eyes fixed on the people below, yelling, "Help." The words were barely out of my mouth when I heard someone say, "Who's in there? Open up, police." The ghost had clearly forced the door open, so why were they telling me to open it? I was on the verge of tears, still too scared to look back, afraid of seeing that deathly pale face. Bang! I heard the sound of the door being forced. The police broke the door down. They pulled me back from the windowsill. It's no exaggeration to say my legs had turned to jelly. I said, "Officers, please, save Sam. He's near the man-made lake." Several people carried me to an ambulance, and I was taken to the hospital. In the hospital, I was still terrified, constantly worried that the female ghost would come for me. Luckily, I was in a large ward with many other patients. Leo from maintenance, our security captain, came to see me. He asked, "How are you feeling? Any better? You know, you really shouldn't have gone to building 3 so late at night." I froze for a few seconds. Did he also know about building 3? I asked him, "You know about what happened at building 3 too?" Leo frowned. "Know what? Building 3 is under renovation. All the students were moved to building 9. You didn't know that? Moved to building 9? I really didn't know that. No wonder building 3 was completely empty." This wasn't the time to dwell on that. I asked, how's Sam? Is he okay? Leo said, Sam hasn't been found yet. Hasn't been found? What do you mean? Leo said, they only found Dave's body near the man-made lake. Sam is still missing. Did they check the security cameras? Leo sighed. They did. But you know, the signal around the man-made lake is often bad, and with the heavy rain yesterday, nothing was recorded. After saying this, Leo slowly got up. You get some rest and recover. I'm heading back now. I was working out of state, with no friends around. After this incident, I had to go through the hospital stay alone. I was still curious about how Dave died. How did Dave die? Leo frowned, looking like he wanted to say something but was hesitating. I said, I saw the female ghost last night. Leo's face was etched with shock. It seemed he also knew Building 3 was haunted. Leo asked me, what did the female ghost look like? The image of the ghost immediately flashed in my mind. I replied, she was wearing a blue short-sleeved shirt, blue jeans, and white sandals. Her face was covered in knife scars, blood around her mouth. When she opened her mouth, it was like a black void. Her eyes were bleeding, like her eyeballs were about to fall out. Her sharp screams were filled with agony. I looked at Leo. His face turned pale, and his eyes showed terror. He said, the ghost you saw is named Lily. She died in that one-story building 10 years ago. You shouldn't have gone to Building 3 in the rain. I was stunned for a few seconds. Sam was the one who told me to go to Building 3. Was Sam trying to harm me? But why would he want to harm me? Seeing I was silent, Leo said, don't be too scared. As long as you don't go to Building 3, you should be fine. I asked him, Leo, have you seen Lily too? Leo shook his head. No, I haven't. But the clothes you described, that's what Lily was wearing when she died. My heart leaped into my throat, and my scalp tingled. Leo left after saying that. Thank goodness there were many people in the ward. If I had been alone, I would have been scared to death. I lay in bed, dazed. What if the female ghost came for me? Over the next few days, the police came to take my statement. I told them the truth, recounting the whole incident. The police were still searching for Sam. 5 days had passed, and he was still missing. I suspected Sam was already dead. Dave's death was bizarre. Leo had said his body was folded up like a block of tofu, not something a human could have done. I was terrified the female ghost would come for me, on edge all day, wishing I had someone with me 24/7. But my injuries were mostly healed, and the nurse told me to handle my discharge paperwork. I didn't want to leave the hospital. I had no money, and if I left, I had nowhere to stay except the security office or the staff dorms. The staff dorms weren't far from Building 3, only about half a mile or so. There was no choice. Hospital beds were in demand, so I had to leave. Luckily, the weather was good on the day of my discharge. I stood at the hospital entrance and called Leo, asking him to help bring my stuff out. I wasn't going back to the university. Leo happened to be free that afternoon. He used a small van to bring my luggage out. I said, thanks, Leo. Leo asked, so, where are you planning to go? I said, I'm planning to go to another state, get far away. Leo smiled. Got your ticket? Should I take you straight to the station? Or to a motel? Straight to the station, please. Motels are too quiet, and staying alone would freak me out. I got in the van, sitting in the passenger seat. Leo was humming a little tune, seeming to be in a good mood. I asked, Leo, what's the good news? Leo smiled. Sam's been found. I froze for a few seconds. Sam's been found? Where is he? I needed to see Sam, ask him face to face about Building 3. If he really had set me up, I couldn't let him get away with it. Leo said, Sam wants to see you too. I'll take you to him. I checked the time. It was 2 p.m. Still a while before dark, so there was enough time. I asked him, where did they find Sam? Leo said, in the old well on campus. There was an old, dry well near the man-made lake. It was very deep, surrounded by grass, with a warning sign nearby, but the sign often got blown over by the wind. No wonder they couldn't find Sam. So he fell into the old well. I asked, is he okay? That well was wide and very deep, seemed bottomless. Leo said, he's fine. He was unconscious for 2 days after falling in, then he climbed out himself. Climbed out himself? I found that hard to believe. The well was so deep. How could Sam, a man nearly 50, climb out on his own? Leo smiled. You can ask him yourself when you see him in a bit. I asked, where is Sam now? I noticed Leo was driving towards the outskirts of town, which seemed odd. Leo said, Sam's at the Spring Hill Apartments. It's a bit far from downtown. Leo, maybe you should just take me to the station. Even though it was daytime, I was still scared. The suburbs were less populated, and a lot of cemeteries were out there. I was afraid of running into something unclean again. I'd barely finished speaking when Leo laughed out loud. He clapped my shoulder. What's wrong? Lost your nerve? What's there to be afraid of in broad daylight? I said with a nervous laugh, ghosts. Leo suddenly turned his head to look at me. Afraid of ghosts? Do I look like a ghost to you? When Leo said that, my heart leaped. Looking at him up close, his eyes didn't seem like his own. The way he looked at me was sinister, really strange. It made me very uncomfortable. I instinctively adjusted my seat, leaning back to put some distance between us. I said, Leo, don't just look at me. Watch the road. Leo chuckled. Look how scared you are. We were nearing the edge of the city. Once we crossed the upcoming bridge, we'd be out of the city limits. I said, Leo, just take me to the station, please. Leo paused for a few seconds, then slammed on the brakes. The inertia threw me forward. If it weren't for my seatbelt, I definitely would have hit my head on the windshield. Leo squinted, as if sizing me up. All right, I'll take you to the station. But Sam really wants to see you. I'll give him a call, tell him to meet you directly at the station. I said, okay. Leo pulled his phone out of his pocket, called Sam, said a few quick words, and hung up. Leo turned the van around. We'd only driven a few yards when I heard a boom, thunder on a clear day. The thunder startled me. Was it going to rain? Leo looked up at the sky and chuckled. Don't worry, no rain today. I said, Leo, please, let's hurry. I want to get to the station quickly. Leo nodded and stepped on the gas, speeding up considerably. But on the way back, we hit traffic and had to wait. I checked the time, it was already 4 p.m. The train station should be about 6 miles away. We could definitely make it before dark. While we were stuck in traffic, there were a few more claps of thunder. The once clear sky instantly darkened. The temperature inside the van dropped too. It felt cold. Leo looked at the sky. Looks like it's going to rain. I said, Leo, please drive faster. Leo frowned. What's the rush? Are you in a hurry to die? I froze for a few seconds. Leo's words made me uneasy. Right now, the word die was the last thing I wanted to hear. I took out my phone and dialed Sam. Seeing me call Sam, Leo said irritably, what's the hurry? You'll see Sam soon enough. Leo's tone was sarcastic and strange, not like his usual self. The phone rang a few times and finally connected. I said, Sam, where are you? There was no answer from the other end, just a zzzzzzzzzzzzz static sound. Leo chuckled. Don't bother. The signal's bad when it rains. Bad signal in the rain. Was Sam near the man-made lake? The signal there was usually bad, and when it rained, there was practically no signal at all. Leo laid on the horn, cursing, this stupid asshole. The light's green, and he's not moving. Leo's mood became volatile. He didn't seem normal. I wanted to get out of the van, but we were in the middle of the road. There was no way. I just hoped we'd get to the station quickly. Leo kept driving. The traffic on this stretch of road thinned out considerably. We were about half a mile from the station. I could already see the station sign. I said, "Thanks, Leo." Leo seemed not to hear me, his eyes fixed intently on the road ahead. I thought maybe he was too focused on driving to hear me. Leo drove a little further, then suddenly hit the brakes and said to me, "We're here." I was stunned for a few seconds. Here? He had clearly stopped the van in the middle of the road, still about 300 yards from the station. Leo glared at me with wide, bull-like eyes and suddenly yelled, "Get out." When he roared, his eyes were bloodshot, like he wanted to eat me. Fine, I'd get out. We were near the station anyway. I could walk the last few hundred yards myself. I opened the van door, and as my foot touched the ground, I heard the sound of a twig snapping. I rubbed my eyes and realized I was somehow near the man-made lake. Leo had actually driven to the man-made lake. But I had clearly seen us approaching the station just moments before. It was pitch black all around. By the moonlight, I could barely make out the time on my watch, 2 a.m. Leo. I tried to sound intimidating. But Leo just laughed, his shoulders shaking. He pointed behind me. "Sam." Leo craned his neck and said loudly, "Sam's in the well." Sam in the well? Was Sam dead in the well? My legs felt weak. I wanted to run, but I couldn't move. I felt that invisible pressure again, making it hard to breathe. A flash of lightning cut through the darkness. I saw a figure behind Leo. It was the woman, Lily. She was still wearing the same clothes, her head bowed, her hair hiding her face. She had come for me after all. Leo's limbs began to twitch. I heard the sound of bones breaking. His neck was twisted several times, and his body bent backward, folded in half. I wanted to scream, but no sound came out of my throat. I ran for my life. After a few steps, I fell to the ground, scrambling and crawling. If I could just get to a place with people, I might be saved. Help. My throat finally managed a weak sound, but it was too faint compared to the deafening thunder, completely drowned out. The nearest place with people now was the staff dormitory. I ran desperately towards the staff dorm, falling countless times along the way. I finally made it to the staff dorm. The lights were off, everyone must have been asleep. I instinctively felt safer on higher floors, so I ran up to the top floor, the fifth, shouting, "Anyone there? Open the door." The fifth floor had those voice-activated lights. I banged on the doors with all my might, but no one responded, and no one opened up. Where had they all gone? If no one opened up, I'd have to kick a door in. Just as I was about to kick, the lights on the fifth floor went out. I stomped my foot hard, and the lights came back on. At the same time, I saw Sam standing at the bend in the staircase. He was alive. I froze for a few seconds, then shouted, "Sam." Sam seemed happy to see me too. "Mike, you're alive. I'll take you somewhere safe. Come with me." After saying this, Sam walked towards me, and I walked towards him. We went downstairs. There happened to be a car there. Sam drove me away from that godforsaken place. The rain finally stopped.